Whether it's nosy neighbors or just trying to keep things low-key, controlling the smell of your grow is a must. Let's get into how to do it. Come on, but before we do, today's video is brought to you by Real Grow Lab. If you want to connect with the best growers from all over the world, get tips and tricks on how to grow the dankest plants possible, and not have to worry about the censorship we get from YouTube, Facebook, and Instagram, go check out realgrowlab.com. Get all kinds of great Grow Talk Q&A. Plus, see all the stuff YouTube won't let me show you in these videos. Sign up and join our growing community over at realgrowlab.com. Or download the app at the Apple or Android App Store. Now let's get back to today's video. Come on, Hi C, you ready to jump into this one?
Yeah, so I've only ever grown like 2 or 3 plants at a time, and I could smell it, but it wasn't something I was concerned about. Is this really a concern for a lot of growers?
Oh my God, if I grew, I know a buddy that's growing plants in his bedroom. He's got a little 2x4 tent in his bedroom. If it stinks up the whole bedroom, you don't think his wife is going to say something? And then if it stinks, don't forget, man, 2 really dank plants can stink a house up.
Okay, I'm convinced. Let's talk about how to stop the stink.
Yeah, and by the way, none of this stuff is that hard. We don't have to invent anything. We have to understand how a couple things work and probably throw a couple $100 at it.
All right, man, so let's jump into the top tips for keeping the odor down in your grow.
Yes, this first one, I can't help but smile. A carbon filter.
Okay.
I was there. The first time I saw a carbon filter, I was like, did they just invent these or something? And the idea of being able to just clean the air, I mean, really clean it, not mask it, trap those odor particles. Those particles are little molecules that are floating around the air. And the way carbon works is it's got this whole labyrinth of surface area. So as it pulls through the carbon, there's all sorts of places, all sorts of surface area on the walls of this activated carbon to trap these odor particles.
Okay, I've seen this done 2 ways. I've seen people put the carbon filter inside of their grow.
Right.
And then I've also seen people put the carbon filter on the top of their grow tent.
Sure.
What's the difference there?
That's scrubbing versus exhausting. If you're using a sealed room, then you can't be exhausting all that, scrubbed air out, because you're going to lose your temperature control and you're going to lose your CO2. If you are running something like a simple tent where you're relying on, like I have a tent next to me, we're relying on the lung room being conditioned, then you want to constantly be circulating that air out of the tent so it's pulling new air in the tent.
So if it's outside of the tent, it's pulling new air in and exhausting the old air. But I think your grow room next door to us, that air just stays inside and it just gets recycled.
Because I have an air conditioner in that grow. The air conditioner for this grow is over here. So I have to make sure I'm using, this is my lung room, and the tent is using it to breathe.
Okay, what's going through my mind is these carbon filters, if they get a bunch of stuff accumulated on them.
Sure.
Or humidity, I assume, can probably affect it.
That's the worst one. They use a pre-filter and then they last a long time. They really do. If you use a pre-filter and keep it clean, the worst thing that you can do for a carbon filter is run too humid of a room. After 60% humidity, these things clog up with water. Don't forget, it's tiny little micropores, and they just stop working. So if you're going to use a carbon filter, make sure you invest in a dehumidifier, or just make sure that humidity isn't over 60%.
Okay, other than a carbon filter, what
Sure.
are some other ways that people keep the smell down in their grow?
I like this one a lot. You have to be careful with it, but an ozone generator. So now where carbon is taking what is in the air and trapping it inside all the surface area of the carbon, ozone is breaking it. Ozone is actually destroying the chemical. So it's an oxidizer, just like bleach is an oxidizer. So running ozone in your room will really mess things up. But running them in a lung room or periodically running it, I'm thinking if the landlord was showing up, I'd rather him be like, boy, it smells weird in here. Ozone smells weird. It smells like burning motor or something like that. But it's actually oxidizing. It's actually O3, and we want O2, so that extra oxygen breaks off, and it's a really powerful cleaner.
Will it affect what's going on at the plant level, though?
Yes, yes, it will absolutely oxidize and destroy your plants. So you don't want this one in your grow. This would be something if you were trying to mask the smell. I'm thinking of my mom coming over, and I didn't mask the smell. She left me a note that said, you can fool some of the people some of the time, but you can't fool mom. Yeah, that was one of them. And with regards to ozone, it is important not to be inhaling it yourself. I have a terrible sense of smell, and I'm pretty sure it's because I spent a lot of room inside rooms with ozone generators in them before Scotty Real told me not to.
Bro, when we used to hotbox cars when I was a teenager, we'd have a little Ozium spray.
Now that's different, man.
Bro, I mistook it for Banaka one time and sprayed it into my mouth and thought I was going to die.
Wow. A little oxidization going on, man. That was your breath.
I mean, it didn't stink for weeks, but also I couldn't smell anything for a couple days.
That's a great segue to our next one because we talked about actually destroying the odors with Ozium, with ozone, but there is masking the odors. In an emergency, you mask the odor, right? And I remember they had this gel, this stinky gel. I think it was Ona gel at the grocery store. And you would just leave the jar open, near your front door or something, and it would stink. People would be like, but it didn't stink like weed,
Patchouli oil is good for that.
Oh, come on. That's such a giveaway. How about this last one, though, man? Can you still buy stock in Ozium? Is that a publicly traded company? Because that stuff, come on, it's been going around for 30 years. Ozium is one of those things that if you smoked in your car, which smells terrible, you could spray a little bit of Ozium, and that stuff's pretty amazing too, man. So I don't know. I don't rely on those things for a grow. Maybe if I get a knock on the door and the landlord's there, I might spray a little bit of Ozium. But yeah, if I've got my carbon filter in check, man, I should be good. I would reach for that. That's the best tool that a grower has is a carbon filter. Hey, one thing about a carbon filter, though, if I'm not running a sealed environment, I want it to have negative airflow. I want it to be pulling air through the tent and then out that carbon filter and, seal the carbon filter up. So it's real important because think about that. If you have negative airflow, and it doesn't allow any particles to sneak out anywhere else except through the air filter. So that's a big deal.
Okay, so we've been talking mostly about grow tents today. How important, though, is the quality of your grow tent in keeping that odor down?
I think it's a big deal. We talk about that negative airflow. You have to have somewhat sealed environment for that. So they thought about that when they designed these grow tents. They've got the openings, the ports, the intake ports, I'll say, down low. Heat rises, so it's engineered correctly. The zippers seal. It just makes it a lot easier. There's no light leaks coming out. So, grow tent, and they're not super expensive as far as to house your whole grow. Definitely recommend starting there.
The ones that we love are the AC Infinity ones.
Yep.
I notice even on the newer ones where the zipper is at, they even have like a little flap that folds over the zipper to keep it sealed.
Yeah, devil's in the details. Hey, and the one thing about AC Infinity tents, they're not a sponsor of our show, but they really do go the extra mile, whether it's they put more material behind the zipper so you don't get light leaks behind the zipper. It's just really easy. They're sealed very well, so you can pull all that air through and out the filters. Just designed really well. I like those guys. If you're brand new to growing, invest in a good AC Infinity kit. Comes complete with everything you need, and it just will make life easier. Hey, but those are just my tips for keeping my grow on the down low. But come on, did I miss something? If so, leave it in the comments. And of course, if you dug this video, hit the like button, hit that subscribe button. Share this one with another grower you know. And check out the other couple videos YouTube's recommended. I think you'll dig them.